Incredible journey. How a chance encounter with a mysterious CEO revealed life-changing secrets. On a chilly autumn afternoon in Maplewood, as leaves whirled in the wind like small golden thoughts, Sarah plodded along the sidewalk with a heavy heart and 2 boxes of fresh blooms. She'd just delivered a radiant bouquet to the town's art gallery, her beloved floral shop, Bloom Blossom, barely holding on by a thread. Each flower was not just a product, but a piece of her soul. Sarah, a determined 32-year-old single mother, was caught in a world that seemed to care less about her dreams and more about corporate giants that didn't know the first thing about community. As she walked to her truck, whispers floated in the crisp air. Conversations about closed shops and struggling businesses flowed like a familiar tune, prickling her with a sense of dread. Sarah paused, pressed her fingertips to the cool wooden fence beside her, and took a deep breath. She thought of Lily and Jake, her 2 shining stars, and the life she longed to give them, a life filled with laughter, security, and hope. Then, she collided with a man, a tall figure bursting with charisma. His twinkling smile felt like a beacon. Mike, he introduced himself, and there was warmth in his introduction that made her heart flutter. They quickly fell into conversation, discussing entrepreneurship and the flaws plaguing their quaint town. His words felt like honey on her tongue. Their connection felt real, a tide of hope pushing against the waves of despair. Mike shared tales of his own struggles, how he first started out with nothing but a dream and boundless determination. "If we work together," Mike said, excitement brewing in his voice, "we can champion this community. You're not alone." But right as her optimism began to spur forth, the phone call came. The weight of the world crashed down on her. The owner of the building where Bloom Blossom resided planned to raise the rent, and competition from Floral's company loomed foreboding. Every word felt like a stitch tearing loose in her hopes. A desperate plea speared her heart. Should she ask for help or figure it out alone? The very idea of accepting financial assistance made her chest constrict. Just as uncertainty loomed, Mike's voice echoed in her mind. They began to brainstorm plans, uniting local artisans to create an event that would reshape their town's market. The thought ignited her spirit. Could they challenge the corporate tide together? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let us continue. Determined, she rallied the community to support her idea. Moments of joy surfaced with laughter at town meetings, but behind them lay shadows of skepticism. How could she, just a simple florist, change years of neglect? But as Sarah stood at the heart of Maplewood, facing the storm and uncertainty, snippets of light flickered through her resolve. Was she really able to spark change that would turn the tides? With Mike's friendship coursing through her spirit and her hands wrapped firmly around her children, she could feel something monumental brewing. She took a deep breath. The crossroads awaited her, and the path lay shrouded in mystery. What would unfold next? Would hope blossom or wither? The next morning, a bright sun peeked through the clouds, illuminating Maplewood with a golden glow. The air felt charged with potential, and Sarah woke up hopeful, her heart racing with anticipation. After breakfast, the kids dashed off to school, and she found a moment of quiet in the small garden behind her shop. As she arranged the petals of a fresh bouquet, she couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. Today was the day of the first town meeting, a gathering she had bravely organized. Sarah pulled her hair back into a neat bun and dressed deliberately, choosing a flowing floral dress that mirrored her passion for flowers. This was her chance to rally the community around her dream, to put her vision into words. With every step toward the town hall, she reminded herself that this was about more than just her shop. It was about survival for her children and fellow business owners. The town hall echoed with murmurs and shuffling feet as she entered. Faces turned toward her, some supportive, others skeptical. She felt a flurry of nerves, but took a deep breath, channeling her anxiety into determination. Mike had promised to be there to support her, and his presence alone settled her a bit. When the time came for her to speak, she stepped up to the podium, heart pounding. She looked out at the crowd, her friends and neighbors, and began, "Thank you all for coming today. We are here not just to talk about our businesses, but to talk about the heart of Maplewood." As Sarah spoke, her passion spilled over. She spoke of their shared struggles, empty storefronts, dwindling foot traffic, and the joy of community that had once defined their town. She painted a picture of a community market where local artisans could showcase their crafts and families could gather. With each word, she felt lighter. She painted with colors of resilience and hope, but laughter punctured the atmosphere when a gruff voice called out from the back, "How do you expect us to compete with the likes of Floral's company?" Eyes turned toward her, and for a split second, she felt like a lone candle flickering against a windstorm. Instead of faltering, Sarah turned her gaze to the crowd. "I believe we can create something unique together. What if we embraced our flaws and used them as strengths? Each of us has a story, a connection, and it's time we showcase that to the world." The room fell quiet. She could see a spark in some eyes. Curiosity began to kindle hope. Mike encouraged her with a nod, appearing among the crowd just in time to bolster her confidence. After her speech, people began to approach her, eager to share their ideas. Ideas flowed like fresh rain after a drought, the baker suggesting food stalls, the leatherworker offering to host workshops, and the artist proposing live painting sessions. The energy was infectious. As Sarah jotted down names and contributions, she caught a glimpse of Mr. Campbell, the landlord, lurking by the door. Fear coiled in her stomach. Would he crush her dreams like he had before? But instead, he surprised her by stepping forward. "I see your passion, Sarah. I'm willing to discuss not raising the rent, but only if you can show me that this market can work." Her heart soared at the chance. A light of possibility flickered in front of her. Before she could respond, Mike stepped in, a confident smile lighting his face. "I can help facilitate the launch. Together, we can show this town what unity looks like." Hope wrapped around her like a warm embrace. While uncertainty still loomed, for the first time in a long while, she felt a fire igniting inside her. But before she could relish in the moment, a voice jolted her back. "What happens if you fail?" The question lingered, heavy in the air. The excitement wavered, overshadowed by doubt. Sarah locked eyes with Mike, who offered her a reassuring smile. But deep down, fear began to creep in. Was she really strong enough to lead this community? Would the support hold once the obstacles arose? As she grappled with her thoughts, the meeting buzzed around her, leaving her with one burning question. What if the journey was as perilous as it was hopeful? The meeting gradually dissolved into small groups, buzzing with discussion. Sarah took a deep breath, clutching her notepad tightly. The weight of potential rested on her shoulders, and she couldn't help but replay that lingering question in her mind. What if she failed? Mike reached her first, excitement glinting in his eyes. "You did amazing up there. Did you see how people responded?" His enthusiasm was infectious, but doubt still shadowed her thoughts. "Yeah, but what if they don't stick around when the going gets tough?" She muttered, her eyes scanning the room. "You have to believe in them, Sarah," he replied gently. "They can feel your passion. This can work if you let your heart lead." Just then, a woman Sarah recognized approached. It was Emily, the local baker known for her soft ginger cookies and vibrant smile. "Sarah, I want in on this market. I've got tons of ideas." Sarah's heart lifted a little. "Really? Tell me more." Emily's face lit up, and she began sharing concepts for food stalls, farm-to-table events, and even brewing local coffee. Each detail added layer after layer of possibility. As Sarah took notes, she felt a small flame of hope spark back to life. People continued to gather, sharing visions, dreams, and even fears. For every doubt, there was a voice of support. The leatherworker shared not just a plan for workshops, but a heartfelt story about how his craft had helped him through loss. The artist expressed how painting had always felt like a lifeline, a way to represent the beauty around them in their small town. As conversation flowed, so did the healing. For this one evening, worries felt like they faded into the background. "Let us make a timeline," Mike suggested, pulling out a napkin to jot down key dates. "If we want this market off the ground, we need to set goals." Jumping into action, they outlined a plan: a kickoff date, look for vendors, and reaching out to the community. The more they talked, the clearer it became. She was not alone in her fight. Everyone had something at stake. Yet, even with the warmth surrounding her, Sarah felt the chill of uncertainty creep up again, gnawing at her confidence. Would they still believe when faced with setbacks? The meeting eventually wound down, but Sarah lingered behind, taking in the evening's energy. Laughter echoed softly in the background while others packed up chairs and shared more ideas. Then, a familiar, husky voice broke through the hum. It was Mr. Campbell. "Sarah, I'd like to discuss those details we mentioned earlier," he said. There was an earnestness in his tone that caused her stomach to tie in knots. Could he really mean it? They stepped aside, and he leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You've got something special here, but I want to be clear, this isn't a charity. You'll have to prove that you and the others can make it work." Her heart raced. "I understand, and I'll make sure we do." As she turned back, just in time to catch Mike's eye, it struck her that the rhythm in her heart matched the growing energy of possibility around her. But like a whisper in the dark, Mr. Campbell's challenge loomed over her. As the crowd began to thin out, she could already envision the hurdles waiting ahead. What would her next move be? Would she find the courage to keep going when the stakes were high? There were too many questions left unanswered, and as she packed up her things, one rolled through her mind, persistent and heavy. Was she truly ready to lead this community into something new? Outside, the moon hung full and bright, casting silver light on the tangled pathways of Maplewood. Sarah's pulse raced with the promise and dread of the upcoming journey. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but perhaps it would also bring unexpected allies in their quest for revival. But first, she'd need to face the truth of what was coming, and not only her fears, but also the town's. How would she navigate this new path when the shadows of doubt loomed ever larger? The morning sun peeked through her window, spilling gold across the floor. Sarah blinked awake, her thoughts still tangled in last night's meeting. She swung her legs over the edge of the bed, feeling the cool wood beneath her feet. Today was the day she needed to act, no more hesitations. She jolted into motion, brewing a strong cup of coffee. The familiar scent wrapped around her like a comforting hug, but she downed the drink in haste, knowing there wasn't much time. She had a call to make, one that might change everything. Mr. Campbell's words echoed in her mind as she dialed the phone. Would this step bring her closer to making the market a reality? Or would it expose her vulnerabilities? After a few rings, he answered. "Sarah." His voice was steady, a contrast to the fluttering in her chest. "Mr. Campbell," she began, forcing confidence into her tone. "I've given it a lot of thought, and I want to discuss our plan further. I believe we can make this market work, but I know I need your support. Talk to me about your vision," he replied, his voice low but inquisitive. She took a breath, letting her passion pour into her words. She spoke of community, local vendors, and the idea of a space where everyone could come together sharing food, crafts, and joy. As she spoke, the more clarity she felt about her mission. "Interesting," he mused. The phone crackled as she waited for his response. Did she say too much? Not enough? A silence stretched, feeling interminable before he finally broke it. "I have some possible resources, but understand this, Sarah. Success falls on your shoulders." "Absolutely," she said, a surge of determination streaming through her. "I'll prove that I can lead this. Then let us meet. I'll set a time for us to go over the details." After the call, a smile broke across her face. She felt the spark of possibility ignite into a flame. Maybe she could do this. Maybe she wasn't alone after all. She grabbed her notepad, the pages filled with ideas, sketches, and a list of potential vendors. Each entry was a reminder of the growing network around her. As the day rolled forward, Sarah gathered with team members in the library, the community hub bustling with energy. She felt charged with purpose, but as people took seats around the table, her doubts surfaced again. Would they share her vision? Did they have the same commitment? Mike was the first to speak. "I believe we have the power to change things here," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "I agree," Emily pitched in, her eyes shimmering with enthusiasm. "This isn't just about a market. It's about rebuilding our sense of community." Every voice lifted her hopes, weaving together the tapestry of shared ambition. They discussed strategies, potential challenges, and how to involve more locals. The warmth, the laughter, the sense of belonging, it wrapped around Sarah like a cozy blanket, pushing back the dark shadows of uncertainty. But then, someone asked the tough question that stopped her in her tracks. "What happens if we fail?" It was a soft voice, but it echoed in the room. She paused, feeling the weight of that query suffocate the air. For a heartbeat, everyone fell silent. Would her answer set the tone for their journey? Gathering her thoughts, she spoke from the depths of her heart. If we stumble, we learn. We get back up and try again. This, more than anything, is about coming together as a community. We let each other fall. The fear began to lift, replaced by the spark of determination in their eyes. They could do this. As they wrapped up their meeting, Sarah felt the burden on her shoulders shift. Maybe she was ready after all. They were moving forward, not alone, but as a unified force. Yet deep down, a nagging doubt lingered. What if her vision wasn't enough? What if they couldn't reach their goals? As she stepped outside, the evening air crisp and cool, she knew the most crucial part still lay ahead. Navigating the pitfalls would be just as important as celebrating the successes. How would she manage the expectations? How would she keep the momentum alive when it threatened to fade? As the sun dipped below the horizon, dipping the world in twilight hues, Sarah sensed the journey's next phase looming just ahead, full of promise and peril. Would she find the strength to guide them through? Sarah tossed and turned in bed that night, her mind racing with thoughts of the meeting and the days ahead. Every time she closed her eyes, visions of local vendors, bustling paths, and smiling faces filled her mind. But with each passing moment came that familiar twinge of anxiety. Was she really ready for this? Morning broke, but the sun's warmth did little to diminish her worries. She made her way to the kitchen, brewing another cup of coffee, hoping the caffeine would shake loose the clouds hovering in her mind. Perhaps she just needed more clarity. She recalled Mr. Campbell's supportive words, and they momentarily lifted her spirits. But the thought of failure lingered, like a ghost in her thoughts. The following week promised crucial discussions. She had prepared tirelessly, outlining every potential scenario, every high and low they might face. But she couldn't shake the gnawing fear that whispered she was faking her confidence. As Sarah reached for her notepad, ready to review her plans, she caught sight of herself in the reflection of the window. The sunlight illuminated her features, revealing a tired expression to her own scrutiny. She took a deep breath. Maybe it was time to lean on others for support. Perhaps vulnerability was its own strength. With newfound resolve, Sarah decided to reach out to her friends and family, inviting them into her plans. She hoped to gain their perspectives, their energy, and their belief in her vision. Perhaps they could help bridge the gap between her dreams and reality. That evening, she hosted a small gathering at her place. The laughter of familiar voices filled the room, filling it with warmth. Drinks clinked together, and the smell of homemade pizza wafted through the air. She watched her friends converse, their faces lighting up with animated stories, and felt the gentle weight of community around her. This was what she aimed to capture with her market. "Tell us about this market you're working on," Linda asked, her eyes glistening with intrigue. Sarah felt the butterflies stir in her stomach, her confidence fraying at the seams. But as she began to share her ideas, weaving tales about local farms and artisan bakers, she felt their excitement pulse around her. Their laughter and encouragement washed over her like a spring rain, revitalizing her spirit. "And what if it rains?" John interjected, leaning back with a grin as everyone chuckled. "No worries," Sarah replied. "We'll have canopies, and we'll turn it into a cozy festival vibe. We'll serve hot drinks, play music." Her words flowed, a real vision emerging. The more she spoke, the more the doubts melted away. They brainstormed ideas together, igniting inspiration and building on each other's thoughts well into the night. But as guests trickled out, the laughter faded, and Sarah was left alone with her thoughts. The excitement from earlier dimmed to a flicker under the weight of lingering concerns. What would happen if not everyone shared her belief? And what if the resources Mr. Campbell promised fell through? She quickly jotted down notes, determined not to let uncertainty reign. Perhaps facing these possibilities head-on was the only way to turn her dreams into reality. Just as she paused, reflecting, the phone buzzed on the table. It was a text from Mr. Campbell. "I'm looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. Let us make things happen." A rush of emotion surged inside Sarah, but with it came a twinge of fear. She could do this. But what if she couldn't? As the night grew silent, Sarah felt the battle within herself intensify. The moments ahead would define not just a market, but her future. Could she really turn her vision into something tangible? Or would she lose herself in the process? With these questions swirling in her mind, she slipped into bed, determined to find answers tomorrow. Just as sleep tugged at her eyelids, one thought settled firmly. The real work was just getting started. But what would that work demand of her? The dawn broke, spilling a soft golden light over Sarah's kitchen. She sat at the table, her mind racing as she sipped her coffee. The text from Mr. Campbell echoed in her ears like a drumbeat. He was counting on her. Breaches of doubt flickered at the corners of her mind, but she forced herself to visualize the market again the moment she stand before the crowd. Just like the one from her gathering, the excitement sparking in the air. As the clock ticked on, each second felt like a tiny reminder of the unveiling world just beyond her front door. Pushing her chair back, she stood up and decided to prepare for the meeting with Mr. Campbell. She gathered her notes, color-coded and organized meticulously. It was a comfort that sharpened her focus. Just then, her phone buzzed again. It was Linda, sending a flurry of supportive messages, reminding her of how proud everyone was. She felt a warmth spread through her, a reminder she didn't have to go at this alone. Inspired by Linda's enthusiasm, Sarah grabbed a pen and started jotting down little notes for her meeting, potential vendors, community partnerships, and promotional ideas. But beneath her productivity lay a growing worry. What happens when she's in that conference room? What if she stammered her way through the whole presentation? The thought of facing Mr. Campbell was daunting. He was the bridge to her dreams, but he also represented her worst fears. The drive to the meeting felt eternal as her mind raced with hypothetical scenarios. She took a deep breath, squeezing the steering wheel tightly. The first stoplight turned red, and her heart fluttered with a sense of urgency. What if the market became a reality? And what if it did not? The moment she parked, the butterflies turned into an avalanche in her stomach. She had rehearsed her pitch mentally 100 times, but the gravity of the moment sunk in as she placed her hands flat against the cool surface of the car. Closing her eyes, she could almost hear her friends' laughter encouraging her to embrace whatever unfolded. She entered the building with newfound determination, her heart racing with each step toward the conference room. Inside, Mr. Campbell was already waiting. He looked up, a warm smile lighting up his face. "Sarah, ready to take this to the next level?" She swallowed hard, forcing a smile back. With a nod, she set down her notes, a wave of warmth and anxiety and hope flooding her. As she began to share her vision, words tumbled out, painting vivid pictures of the vendors, community engagement, and the atmosphere she envisioned. It was as if the words were flowing from a deeply hidden wellspring of passion, but midway through her presentation, something unexpected happened. Mr. Campbell leaned back in his chair, an odd expression on his face. "You've got a solid vision, Sarah," he said, but there was something else lingering unspoken. It felt as if he was weighing a decision, or perhaps even a secret he was holding back. Then, he paused, studying her intently. "But let me tell you something crucial. I know the market isn't just a project for you, it's your way to break free from something deeper." Sarah's heart raced. He had seen through her facade. Suddenly, it was no longer about the market, but about her. The discussion morphed from business to something profoundly personal, and she felt stripped bare before this man she barely knew. Where do these ideas stem from? What do you truly want, Sarah? Her breath caught. It was a question she hadn't even contemplated. The answer lingered just out of reach, but she knew deep down it was tied to her own journey of self-discovery. As the tension in the room thickened, another thought slipped in. Was this simply about the market, or was it a chance for something far greater than she had ever dared to imagine? In that moment of revelation, the direction of her future began to crystallize. But would she find the courage to pursue what lay beyond the surface? "Let us break it down," Mr. Campbell urged, sensing her turmoil. As he leaned forward, ready to redefine everything, Sarah felt the air charged with possibilities. What transformations awaited her? What hidden truths would unravel before her? With her heart in her throat, it suddenly dawned on her she was ready to uncover it all. Little did she know, the real journey was just beginning. What if this meeting unlocked secrets that could change everything? Sarah took a deep breath, trying to collect her thoughts while Mr. Campbell watched her with an intensity that made her feel exposed. The room seemed to shrink around her, filled with unspoken tension. What was hidden beyond the surface was creeping closer, and she was both afraid and intrigued. "All right, she said finally, her voice shaky but determined. Let us break it down. Mr. Campbell smiled gently, nodding as she regained her composure, transforming that nervous energy into something productive. Let us start with why this market matters so much to you. What is at stake here? She paused, searching for the words. It's more than just a market, Mr. Campbell. It's about community, bringing people together, supporting small businesses, creating an environment where we can all thrive, and it's also about me. The last part slipped out unguarded, and she fought against the sudden vulnerability that washed over her. What do you mean it's about you? He leaned forward, his expression encouraging her honesty. She took another breath, ready to peel back the layers. I've always felt stuck, like I was meant for something more, but I never knew what it was. This market feels like a chance to make a difference, to finally do something that's meaningful. Mr. Campbell nodded in understanding, his expression softening. That is powerful, Sarah. You're tapping into your own potential. But have you considered what that looks like beyond this meeting, beyond the market? At that moment, a flicker of uncertainty gripped her. Was this meeting just a practical step toward a plan, or was it a catalyst for the deeper change she had yearned for? I've thought about it, she admitted, a lump forming in her throat. I want to make a name for myself. I want to be confident to stand in front of people, not just my friends, and share my dreams without fear. His eyes seemed to pierce right through her insecurities, and he spoke with a gentle firmness. Fear is natural, but embracing it is what changes everything. This market isn't just about products or advertisements, my dear. It's a reflection of your resilience, your desire to connect. The warmth of his words enveloped her, filling the room with something transformative. Sarah felt a wave of hope wash over her, mingled with doubt. What if she couldn't pull it off? What if all her dreams were just that, dreams? Sarah, Mr. Campbell said softly, breaking her train of thought. This is the time to carve out your identity, to take risks. But it starts right here, right now. The intensity in his voice ignited a spark within her. She realized this was more than a chance to present a business plan. It was a moment to embrace herself. I'm ready, she whispered, more to herself than to him. As they delved deeper into the plan, the air hummed with creativity. Ideas flowed like a stream, and for the first time, Sarah felt a connection to the process, a sense of alignment between her goal and her heart. Plans morphed into dreams, and just as she began to feel the freedom of possibility, Mr. Campbell paused again. Before we continue, there is something important I want to share, he said, a serious tone creeping into his voice. I've seen many aspiring entrepreneurs before you, but there's one story that changed my entire outlook on business. Sarah's heart raced. What story could be so significant that it would shift everything she thought she knew? As he opened his mouth to speak, she had a sinking feeling that this could unlock more than just knowledge. It could unveil hidden truths she hadn't dared to face. Would she embrace whatever came next, or recoil into fear once more? The possibilities were endless, and just the hints of answers dangled in the balance. Mr. Campbell leaned back in his chair, his gaze steady. Years ago, I met a woman named Mia, he began, his voice weaving through the room like a gentle breeze. She was passionate, just like you, and had formed a vision for a thriving artisan market in her hometown. But there was one thing she held back. Sarah listened intently, her heart fluttering with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. What made Mia's story so different? She had the dream, Sarah, the drive, the ambition. But every time she stood up to present her ideas, something inside her froze. Fear gripped her, and she couldn't take that step forward. Mr. Campbell's eyes flickered to Sarah's, their depth pulling her deeper into the narrative. One day, she confided in me about a specific moment that changed everything. A mentor shared a piece of advice that resonated deeply with her. You can't fail if you're willing to learn from every experience, he said. It was simple, but it shifted her entire outlook. She learned to embrace failure as a teacher. Sarah felt a weight lift slightly. Embrace failure, it sounds scary but empowering, she murmured, pondering the words. Exactly, he affirmed, a hint of enthusiasm shining through. Mia realized looming fears weren't her enemies. They were signs pointing toward her growth. She began to take calculated risks. Each failure became a stepping stone, a part of her journey. A warm wave of inspiration washed over Sarah. That kind of courage felt both foreign and inviting to her. Did it work for her? She asked, her voice trembling with excitement. Mr. Campbell nodded. It did. She started small, gathering local artisans and engaging with her community. They supported each other, learning and growing together. Eventually, the market became a vibrant hub where creativity flourished, and Mia became a respected leader. But what if I'm not like Mia? Sarah said, suddenly aware of the dash of doubt creeping back in. What if I can't turn my thoughts into reality? That's the key, he replied gently but firmly. It's not about being like someone else. It's about finding your own path, leaning into your unique strengths. You will stumble, and you may even fall. But each step, even if it's messy, is progress. You'll build resilience. She bit her lip, feeling the pull of fear mixed with excitement. So what should I do first? Mr. Campbell smiled again, this time with an intensity that matched his words. Start by asking yourself, what is your first step? Define what success looks like to you, not by others' standards, but by yours. Your journey unfolds from your choices. In that heavy moment, Sarah felt a shift within herself. The potential was there, vast and tender. Okay, I'll try. I will put my ideas down and start reaching out, even if I'm scared. Good, Sarah, he said, pride lacing his tone. You're not merely planning a market. You're starting a revolution in your own life. Suddenly exhilarated, she realized that this conversation had unlocked something within her, a door to an exhilarating path of self-discovery. But as she prepared to delve deeper into her ideas, she was struck by a different feeling, the buzz of urgency. What if I fail before I even begin? She blurted, fear rising again. Mr. Campbell's smile softened. Remember Mia's lesson. It's not a question of if you fail. It's about how you rise stronger after that. You are not alone in this. I'll be here to guide you through. As hope clashed with fear, Sarah understood there was no going back. This was the threshold of change. The excitement built, but so did the weight of the moment. She thought of the market, the community, and even her dreams now awakened. Let us draft that plan together, she said, a mix of determination and vulnerability surfacing. Mr. Campbell leaned forward, ready to guide her through the next stage of uncharted territory. Yet before they could dive back into the details, he added, but Sarah, there's one crucial piece I haven't told you. Something about Mia that might just redefine how you see your challenges. That single statement hung in the air, heavy with the promise of revelation. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. What could possibly await her that might change everything again? Something that might just redefine how you see your challenges. Mr. Campbell's words hung between them, like a thread waiting to be pulled, unraveling a story yet untold. Sarah's breath caught. She leaned in closer, her heart thrumming with anticipation. Mia had a moment of reckoning, Mr. Campbell continued, his tone shifting to one of reverence. She hit rock bottom. After working tirelessly to launch her market, all her efforts seemed futile. One rainy day, after a disastrous opening, she sat on her kitchen floor, overwhelmed by despair. That's when she realized the truth: her worth was never tied to her failures. Sarah felt her heart soften. What did she do? She whispered. She allowed herself to grieve. For once, she didn't push those feelings away. She cried. She wrote her feelings in a journal. It was a turning point. Instead of just seeing obstacles, she began to view them as part of her story, an essential part of who she was. Wow, Sarah breathed, a smile blooming. That's like real empowerment. Being okay with who you are, even when it feels messy. Mr. Campbell nodded. Exactly. That moment transformed how she approached her dreams. You see, it's not just about success or failure, but about understanding that both are merely chapters in your narrative. Each chapter shapes you, and through Mia's story, you'll learn that those hard moments can lead to your most powerful transformations. Sarah felt a flicker of understanding igniting within her. She had been viewing her aspirations as a straight line to success, one that should be precise and flawless. What did she do next? She reframed her thinking. Instead of fearing failure, she embraced the lessons that came with it. Mia found inspiration in other stories. She interviewed artisans who had faced their own setbacks. They shared their paths, painted in both trial and triumph. Their honesty helped her grasp that growth often wasn't easy. As she absorbed Mr. Campbell's words, a sense of bravery began to grow. The burden she felt lifted just a little, replaced by a craving to write her own story, flawed yet strong. Maybe I can do that too. Surround myself with people who share their struggles and victories? Sarah's eyes sparkled. Absolutely, he encouraged. Community shapes dreams. Like-minded individuals can light your way, helping you see potential where you once saw barriers. Suddenly, the possibilities brightened. She saw her future market, buzzing with artisans of all kinds, each sharing not just their products but also their journeys. This place could be more than a marketplace. It could be a safe haven. Still, a shadow loomed. But what if they don't want to share? She asked. What if they think my ideas are silly? Doubt can be a great thief of dreams, Mr. Campbell replied gently. But remember, vulnerability builds connection. By sharing your doubts with others, you may find they have their own insecurities. That's where true connections are made. A sense of new strength bundled up inside her. So I should just put myself out there, even with the fear? Exactly. Mr. Campbell beamed. Step into authenticity, and you may surprise yourself. You never know who might be inspired by your journey. An electrifying thought coursed through Sarah, a spark igniting her spirit. What's the first step then? Let us start with a simple idea to gather potential artisans. Perhaps an informal meeting? Ideas are meant to evolve, after all. Yes, I can do that. Excitement bubbled in her chest. She envisioned her home, inviting neighbors to learn about her vision. Now, Mr. Campbell added, leaning back slightly, there's one crucial element you haven't considered yet. It ties Mia's transformation to those humble beginnings. You might want to brace yourself. It might change how you see your market altogether. As his words trailed off, Sarah's heart raced again. She felt the weight of all her fears, but also the glances of possibility. What truth could reshape her understanding of everything she had dreamed about? Sarah, Mr. Campbell began, his tone grave yet warm. Mia learned that true community involves not only sharing successes, but vulnerability in the face of adversity. She discovered that creating a space where artisans felt safe to express their fears and triumphs was more crucial than any business plan. If you want your market to thrive, you'll need to cultivate that environment. Can you do that? Her world shifted. I think I can. But how do I start? Mr. Campbell smiled, as if he was seeing her transformation take shape right before his eyes. Start by inviting people to share their stories. Hold a gathering where everyone talks about their struggles and dreams, not just for the products, but for the community. Let them feel heard. By doing that, you're planting seeds of trust. The words resonated deep within Sarah. Trust was the threads that wove a community together. So, if they share their stories, it'll create a bond over our dreams? Exactly. He encouraged, the fervor in his voice growing. That bond will be your market's heartbeat. By presenting a space where everyone feels accepted, you'll attract more artisans and visitors alike. A radiant smile broke free as realization washed over her. And they'll see the market isn't just another place to buy things. It's a reflection of our community, a place for stories, laughter, and connection. Now you're thinking like a leader, Mr. Campbell said, pride shining in his eyes. Remember, this journey isn't only about business. It's about authenticity, rekindling the human spirit in Maplewood. Yes, I want everyone to feel connected, to belong when they visit. Her heart brimmed with hope, as if a huge weight was being lifted. This can create a ripple effect, inspiring transformation not just in me, but in everyone around. Mr. Campbell nodded appreciatively, leaning forward. Let us bring this idea to life. But first, dig deep within yourself. What do you fear the most? Because that might be the very barrier you need to break through. She hesitated for a moment, reflecting. I fear that when I open up, I'll be met with doubt or judgment. I'm terrified of failing. Those fears are natural, he acknowledged gently. But learning to navigate these fears can illuminate your path. If you truly want to lead, you have to be willing to stand vulnerable, showcasing both your strength and your weaknesses. Tears of realization filled her eyes. Sarah swallowed hard, feeling a fusion of raw energy and overwhelming emotion. I want to embrace that vulnerability. Then go forth, embrace your journey, and let your community feel free to do the same. When they see your authenticity, they'll want to join you and support your vision. Absolutely. I'll hold that gathering in my home, she said, brimming with excitement. And I won't shy away from sharing my own story. That's the spirit. Reach out to your network. Encourage artisans to come together over coffee and share their hopes and fears. It can be casual, Uplifting exactly what you hoped for, he replied, extending his hand at I in that moment. She grasped his hand firmly, a charge of determination surging through her. I will. I'll create a space for them. Let us do this. As they finished the meeting, Sarah's heart raced with exhilaration. She felt lighter, hope soaring like a kite lifted by the wind. But she also felt the clench of anticipation. This was her moment to soar, her chance to turn doubts into dreams. In the days that followed, Sarah reached out to everyone she knew, inviting them for an evening gathering. She set the date and planned a cozy atmosphere filled with warmth and heartfelt conversations. Excitement bubbled within her, yet nerves loomed. What if they didn't show? What if they laughed at her dreams? The anticipated day arrived, bringing a kaleidoscope of feelings. Her house was decked with colorful flowers, reflecting the spirit of the community she yearned for. She had baked fresh treats, and as she brewed coffee, she reaffirmed her purpose. When guests began arriving, laughter filled the rooms, and her heart filled with joy. She welcomed each person, looking into their eyes a reminder that they were part of something bigger than individual dreams. And then came the moment. As they gathered in a circle, Sarah looked around, feeling the collective energy build. Thank you all for coming. Tonight, we're not just discussing a market. We're sharing our stories, our struggles, our dreams, and our hopes for Maplewood. The initial murmurs gave way to silence. A woman spoke first, sharing her journey of launching a bakery facing countless struggles. Soon, another artisan shared her fears of failing in front of customers. One by one, they opened up, the vulnerability transforming the atmosphere into something magical. Sarah felt a shift in the air. As they laid bare their fears, connections formed like roots reaching out. At that moment, she understood. Each challenge was no longer a barrier. They were stepping stones to a nurturing community. She had sparked something real, igniting a sense of unity that would flourish and grow. As the evening faded and faces lit with smiles, Sarah felt a warmth envelop her heart. This wasn't just about a market. It was about the power of resilience, vulnerability, and togetherness. Looking around, she realized she wasn't just a simple florist anymore. She was a beacon of hope, the first of many stories, ready to inspire a community on the rise. Together, they would break barriers, uplift each other, and build a home for dreams not just for Maplewood, but for themselves. With tears of joy streaming down her face, Sarah whispered, "This is just the beginning," and once again, the sun rose over Maplewood, carrying with it promise, unity, and the heartwarming echo of a community awakened, ready to bloom. Now, I need your help. If you love this journey and want more inspiring stories like this, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out. It's crucial to show your support right now. Leave a like to feed the algorithm and help others discover this transformation. I want to hear from you. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait, not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible journey and transformation. True fans know how important your support is.